sound and speed, camera and speed, and action. Welcome to another Create Greg video. My name is Greg, and in today's episode we will talk about sound editing, how to make the most of your footage, how to make the most of your B-roll, how to find the best soundtrack, how to add different sounds to add to the storytelling. I came up with this idea based on my last week cinematic B-roll, which I shot with my amazing fiance ages ago, and I decided to edit and share on my channel. The amount of positive feedback, and if I'm not mistaken, the most commented my YouTube video ever. So I thought, why not to share with you how I made it, how I edited. First, I thought like I will walk you through the whole edit, but if I decided to explain everything from editing to sound designing, it will take ages. So I decided to break it down and focus on sound today. Why sound, you can ask? When I started shooting video, like pretty much everyone, I got focused on getting equipment, getting the best lenses, all this kind of bits and pieces. And then I neglected the sound. I thought like, I can always throw some soundtracks, the most important is visual. And I was wrong. Once I put this extra effort to educate myself about the sound and start using sound properly, the quality of my production just skyrocketed. And I can talk for hours about the camera bodies, lenses, like my recent new anamorphic one. No, let's leave it on the side. Today is not a story about this lens, it's about sound editing. Let's dive into that right now. Let's start with understanding what's going on this timeline. So from the very bottom, what I selected is our soundtrack. Above that, we've got the 5 audio tracks of sound effects, and everything above is our footage. It all starts with finding the right soundtrack. You can edit and then later on find the soundtrack, but I can guarantee you, once you add that sound, it will not match to beats and it will be nightmare to readjust, and most of the time it won't even fit. So when you've got your footage and you've got vision of your video in mind, please start with the soundtrack and then match your footage to the soundtrack. That's the easiest and the best way forward. If you have not seen my video, I will link somewhere above so you can watch it, and then it will be easier for you to understand what's going on the timeline. I will play the video once again right now so you can see it here, but this time I will play just only soundtrack without sound effects so you can see how the video look like without any add-ons. As you see, the soundtrack has been matched very well, and actually the video itself, just only with the soundtrack, looks good. I was thinking about the story. We actually shot video over 3 days. So the first one was to prepare the sponge. The second one, the more cinematic, when I used, you know, lighting in the dark environment, was the one when it was like most of this cool part of making that cake. And the last one was to finish cake once it settled over the night the following day. So I knew already that I can divide my video into 3 parts. As I mentioned, the second day when we shoot with the light setup was the most interesting one. So I decided it would be my main part, and for this part I got the separate soundtrack which sounded like this. And for the first part I got a bit of different one. They are both from the same artist, but I decided to use the first one as a teaser, show you just the glimpse of what this video is about, to encourage you to watch more, to get you to that the most interesting part when we go to this cinematic lighting in all these movements. And then once the video finished, I got my end credits following to the same soundtrack I started off the whole B-roll. Remember, whatever you try to edit, think about the story, what kind of story you can tell with the footage and sound you have. Don't put the random bits and pieces on the timeline and hope it will work. Think about the story, think what footage do you have, can you tell any story? If yes, what kind of story it can be. And now it's time to move to the best part, namely we will turn off soundtrack and we will focus on sound effects. To make your life easier and to understand this timeline better, I decided to color coded my sound effects. So let's start with the green one. All the green ones are the special sounds I searched on the internet, like marbles in that case, because I didn't have in my sound library, or certain clicks which I thought would be cool to add on, but I didn't have it. Then blue one, it sounds from my camera. I have to admit I made a mistake. I decided to play some cool music in the background to cheer us up while we were shooting the whole day. And then I forgot that I'm going to use some sounds from my camera, and because of that music in the background, most of the sound was not usable. So yeah, next time we will need to shoot in a quiet environment, and I will need to find a different way to encourage my fiance to do more takes than is needed, just to be on the safe side. We've got the pink one, which are hits, then we've got whooshes, and we've got risers, and that would be all. Once we stack them up all together, it gives us this amazing effect. So let's play now the whole clip once again, but without soundtrack, just only sound effects. So let's dive deeper how each of the sounds added to the story. Okay, let's zoom in and focus on the intro at the moment. The main part of the intro is this riser, which I can show you itself, is the one used to build up the tension. And then when the tension drop, we've got all this kind of whooshes and hits. You can hear them right now. And then everything goes silent and we move to another part. The opening scene, as you can see, has some heat. Then we've got actually drop of water. I was wondering what kind of sound I'm supposed to use it, and because we see the spoon, we see the water, so I googled some sounds and I found something which was called cave water drop. Then we go to our main part, and the main part starts with title, which I added hits to highlight them. We've got the music starting here, as you see at the background. First whoosh to highlight this nice visual effect. Another two different whooshes added up on each other, and the funny sound called wooden object. The thing is, I couldn't find any sound of butter dropped into bowl, but I found this wooden object fall, which actually sound perfect. Then actually we've got the sound from the camera. Another whoosh once we transit to the medium shot. Strengthen with another whoosh to highlight it. Mat dropped on the table. Hit to do the same. I found the separate sound on the internet to have the sprinkle sound. Same again, sound from the camera. Another two whooshes. I got the clap to highlight this post-production zoom. This actually clap is from the soundtrack itself. We've got another whoosh once we zoom out to another scene. Sounds from the camera. A lovely long whoosh once we got the spatula with the cream onto cake. I tried to find the sound which will match the spatula with the cream going around the cake. That's one actually the hardest one to find. And I found something which was called sand scrape. And it worked pretty well, as you can hear. Not ideal, but could definitely work. So we've got the more of them. Another whoosh. Sound of a drop. Whoosh once we've got the ball coming into frame. And then we've got the sound of marbles. I found the sound online, like most of them, and the best part was to actually adjust the sound to visual. So the opening one was the most important, so I have to adjust it precisely to be sure that what you see and hear align. So we've got this one, 1, 2, and then actually, as you see, I stock up all of them together, so it gives you this dimensional sound of all these marbles falling into bowl. We've got the sound from the camera, and because we are going slowly towards the end of the main part, I decided to add riser. Apart from the riser, what you can find here, it's the soundtrack which I use as a sound effects to strengthen the message. And with the riser going to the point of drop, which is actually here, the spinning of the cake stops, and end of the story. Then we've got our outro, so to make it more interesting, I decided to add some photos from behind the stage. You see the soundtrack which you use in the intro starts here as well, and we've got sound effects I found ages ago. It's the clicks of the camera, two different, so we've got one. Each of the clicks to represent photo popping on the screen. I've done compound clip with the shutter click sound and I combined them here. And similar story with the riser. End of our outro, I decided to throw the riser to build up the tension once we go for whoosh, which reveals the main photo from that shoot. And we see Greg. That's all. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you learned something and you truly enjoyed it, feel more than welcome to press that subscribe button. You can drop a comment, but you have to press subscribe button. Do whatever feel is right for you. If you didn't enjoy it at all, I'm glad you got to this point anyway, and the good news is next week will be another video, so come around, see whether you like it or not, and then consider subscribe anyway. Until next time, stay creative.